loves, I'm Miss Mon. Welcome to my channel. Today we are embarking on a vintage sewing adventure just in time for Easter. And all I want to do is make a dress out of Easter Bilby fabric. We all know the Easter bunny, a massive bunny that brings you eggs. But here in Australia, we also have something known as the Easter bilby. A bilby is a desert-dwelling marsupial that is nocturnal, and it is so cute. It is actually adorable. It's got these super cute long ears and a little snooty snoot, and for some reason Aussies have just accepted it as part of our Easter tradition. The Easter bilby doesn't get a lot of love from overseas. It is very much an Aussie thing. We can even buy Easter bilby chocolates. But this year I wanted to make a dress which just gave the Easter bilby its moment to shine. I am currently traveling, so I don't have the most amount of equipment with me. Also dealing with this outside the window. So I'm very sorry about the noise and trying to get rid of that background noise. I'm doing the best I can. I'm going to start by talking about the fabric. I bought this fabric mid to end of last year in York, which is a small town outside of Perth in WA. And I just found a fabric store when I was walking past and they had it all on sale and heavily reduced. So I got a couple of meters and it was so hard to pick what color I wanted. I was gonna go the pink and now I kind of wish I went with the green, but we've got blue and it is gorgeous. There are so many cute little Easter bilby depictions. Look at the one in the teacup. Oh, so cute. Let's look at patterns. So I wanted a true vintage pattern, but I didn't want anything overly complicated as I don't actually live where I am. So I have a very cheap sewing machine. It is the bane of my existence. I really don't like it. And I didn't know this until I started sewing. So thank goodness I could feel it in my nuggets that I should sew a simple dress. So I chose this pattern. This is the Home Journal 9140 and I'm not 100% sure when it came out. Do you have a date? No. Home Journal was basically a monthly magazine aimed at women. It is sort of on the same vibe of something like Better Homes and Gardens, and they would come with sewing patterns. Some of them would be included, so you'd go through the magazines and find your size, take it home and you can make a dress. But each magazine also allowed you to order a pattern. You would put in your couple of cents. My dad's going to be really disappointed that I don't know exactly what currency this would have been. Would have been a couple of pence or guineas. You would have put in your pence in an envelope, written down what size you want and what pattern code, and then this would have arrived in the mail. This pattern has two designs. The first one is gorgeous and it's got a yoke and a contrasting fabric, but I don't have a contrasting fabric with me. For some reason, I just want the bilbies to be the whole thing, and unless I could match the blue almost exact, I didn't want to compromise my dress. So we are going with this lovely simple bee design, which is a square neck bodice, thick shoulder straps and a gathered skirt. We have our pattern, we have our fabric. We're going to summon the spirit of the Easter bilby and sew a dress. So I'm going to pass you over to VoiceOver Mon.
As always, we begin by cutting out our fabric, and I realized that this roto cutter would only cut the cardboard underneath the fabric and not the fabric itself. So I ended up just using my good old trusting sewing scissors. As I was cutting out this pattern, I realized that it came with no facing pieces, so I had to make my own front and back bodice facing, which is super simple, simply tracing out the top part of the bodice pieces and then cutting a curvy line a few inches down. This is something that even a beginner sewer can do, so don't let this put you off. I then used this lovely scrap piece of cardboard to mark out my darts because I didn't bring a ruler with me. But once all that was done, it was finally time to start sewing. I began with my stay stitches, which I added to all the pieces, including the facing. and then I moved on to sewing my darts. It was around this time that I realized just how awful and clunky this machine was, and it kept jamming and shooting out like little noodles worth of thread. And I absolutely gave up and had to go to the shops and get some sewing machine oil because it just wasn't working. But after a couple of drops of this magical elixir, we were off again, and it was time to attach the facing to the front pieces of the dress bodice. This is certainly a pattern or even a dress style that I would recommend for beginners because there's nothing really difficult about it. It's just a couple of darts and some straight lines, especially when you got a squared neckline. I made sure to iron everything flat before I moved on to my skirt. I cut out 3 panels off this fabric at 27 inches in length, and then I sewed them together before using the dental floss method to put a zigzag stitch in, and then pushing the fabric across so I can make some gathers. When I pinned that to my bodice, I sewed it down very slowly because the machine still kept on jamming, but in the end we got there. With the skirt attached, I then sewed up the back seams and added a zipper. It was just a normal dress zipper, nothing invisible or strenuous, and then I moved on to hemming the skirt. The most exciting part about this project was I got to finally use my Christmas present. My partner bought me some custom sewing labels so I could attach them to the back of my dresses and know that I made them myself. This is really cute and something I would recommend you do because it was the highlight of my entire sewing experience. Look at that.
This dress came out super cute and I'm in love with it. I felt a little bit silly being so dressed up when I was taking these shots, but it was just such a cute fabric and a dress. I love it and I think it's perfect for Easter. I do wonder whether this design was a little bit too simple because I whipped it up in an afternoon, even with the world's worst sewing machine. But I think for my first project on a new machine, I wanted something super simple. And I didn't even have to really look at the instructions because I've sewn this type of dress so many times. I think I'm gonna go back and sew the first dress from this pattern with the contrasting fabrics, just because I want to give this pattern a proper test out, because this dress was a little bit too simple. But if you are a beginner and you come across this pattern or a very similar pattern, absolutely go for it. It is a great way to hone in your skills and make a very simple dress. I'm really glad I got to do something different for my Easter sewing project this year. And although I'm not at home, I can't do my normal Eastery content, I'm still glad that I'm able to bring you something. This dress may not be as elaborate as last year's Easter dress, which was gorgeous and I still absolutely adore it. But I think, given the circumstances, a lovely simple Easter dress for a lovely and simple Easter is perfect. I'd love to know what you guys think. What do you think of the Easter Bilby? Do you think I gave it the justice it deserved and gave it its moment in the moonlight, or meh? You can totally vote for meh. Thank you so much for watching and for joining me today. If you'd like any more information, I have everything in my blog, which you can find linked in the description box below, including where you can get your own Easter Bilby fabric. If you are an Aussie wanting to do something similar, how cute would this fabric be in like a little girl's dress or even a little kitchen apron? Like, oh, so cute. I hope you guys are all having an absolutely wonderful Easter, no matter whether you celebrate it or not. I hope you all have a beautiful weekend. I will see you guys all next week with a brand new video. Please feel free to like, comment and subscribe to my channel, as well as find me on any of my social media. I'd love to get to know you all a little bit better there, especially as I'm traveling around the world. I hope you guys all have a beautiful week. Remember to be kind, be true, be you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!